Minikits. To anyone else who played the LEGO Star Wars games growing up like myself, these brick-built oddities offered a lot more than the typical video game collectible. They weren't simply another extra feature to pad out your 3D puzzle platforming game. For you see, when collecting 10 of these Minikits in a level, you are rewarded with a Minikit build. A small, detailed collectible, usually depicting a ship seen in the level you just played, at a cute polybag scale. When replaying this game as an adult, I really came to appreciate small details like the Minikit builds. They were a bit encouraging to receive along the long road to completing this game. How can you not love this? One day, I had a thought that spawned this long video that has taken me 6 months to make. Where did these builds come from? Could you actually build them in real life? Accurately? In LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, there are 36 levels. 6 levels, roughly following the story of each of the 6 movies in the Star Wars saga when the game came out in 2007. 36 levels, 36 Minikit builds. That seems easy enough to build. 36 isn't that much number in terms of numbers. And so, the tracks for a train of success have been laid. Our goals have been placed. Can we rebuild all 36 Minikit builds from the Complete Saga and learn some LEGO history along the way? The short answer is yes, but the long answer, you'll just have to wait and see. Before we start putting plastic to plastic, I think it's important to answer the "where did these builds come from" question. Why go through the effort of rebuilding 36 LEGO builds if I can just buy them?
True, that is.
Can I just buy them? Like any other adult in need of enrichment or knowledge, I referred myself to the LEGO Star Wars Visual Dictionary. On page 80, there they are. Or at least some of them. Here, they are referred to as mini sets. Let's see what DK Books has to say about these builds. In 2002, the LEGO Group created the first mini sets. They are smaller than the normal sets with fewer pieces. Though less detailed, mini sets are incredibly accurate. The LEGO Group has issued sets to tie in with all 6 movies and the Clone Wars animation. I would argue that most of this page is true, but the title is a little misleading. The LEGO Star Wars mini line was released between 2002 and 2004, predating any small-scale polybag builds or Star Wars Advent Calendar ships that we see today. This short sub-theme had 3 separate main releases. On January 1st of 2002, the X-Wing Fighter and TIE Advanced, Sebulba and Anakin's Pod Racer, AT-ST and Snowspeeder, and the Jedi Starfighter and Slave One all released on store shelves, retailing for $4 each. Unlike modern polybag builds, all of these sets included 2 separate ships. While fairly small in comparison to some of the other ships in the mini line, many of them also featured exclusive prints, which gave an extra touch of accuracy where it may have really been needed, in cases like the AT-ST cockpit window. Each one was packaged in a hard plastic blister pack and had a little number in the lower right-hand corner so you could properly track your amassing mini set collection. Each set also included a few extra pieces that came together to create a TIE Bomber. I guess you could call this a combination model, but it's not like the combination models from Power Miners, where you take 2 of your sets, disassemble them, and rebuild a new model with digital instructions. All of the extra pieces were included amongst the 4 sets, with instructions detailing how to build the segment included in each set, and additional guidance for how to attach those 4 segments together. By June 1st, 2003, just 5 months later, LEGO had already changed their tune on the mini sets. As it turns out, mini is just a bit too mini. Instead of releasing 8 ships and an additional combination model amongst the 4-set wave, they opted to create just 5 bigger, bolder ships at a bigger, bolder price of $7. These sets included the Millennium Falcon, AT-AT, a Republic gunship, and an MTT, as well as a Y-Wing combination model pieced out amongst the 4 sets. Funnily enough, I'm not quite sure if everyone understood these combination models. Check out this AT-AT with extra Top Gun port! At this new price point, I think they were able to do all these ships justice at a slightly bigger scale. And I think LEGO was feeling that too, because on June 1st of 2004, the 3rd and final main wave of mini sets was released. Once again, this wave featured builds from across the Star Wars saga, including the Star Destroyer, Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator,
I'm a big fan of the Lambda Shuttle, I really am.
And an ATTE. This time, no additional combination model was included. The reason I keep saying 3 main waves is because there were a few other sets released in the mini set line. On November 1st, 2002, the Mini TIE Fighter was released, the smallest mini set, including a mere 12 pieces. According to Brickset, this was the first mini set that was released. There were also 3 additional polybag sets released sometime in 2004. The X-Wing Fighter, which was previously released in that 2-pack with Vader's TIE Advanced, Boba Fett's Slave One, a simple recoloring of Jango's ship, and the TIE Interceptor. A new build. These were released as polybags, but those polybags were also sold in kabaya candy boxes in Japan. Today, those kabaya boxes have become a somewhat popular and rare LEGO item to collect sealed in box. By 2005, the LEGO Star Wars mini sub-theme had come to an end. Kind of. Generic polybags continue to release with the LEGO Star Wars theme like we see today, but they have since lost the mini moniker and the plastic blister pack cases. All that to say that these are not mini sets. These are a bunch of polybags. Does it matter? Probably not. Is LEGO lying to you? Indubitably. For those of you with a keen eye and a inane memorization of what these mini kits actually look like, you may have noticed that one of our questions was partially answered. Of the 36 mini kit builds in the complete saga, 18 of them are part of the mini set line. 16 sets in both combination models. Damn. 3 mini kits didn't make the cut, but we'll get back to those later. So, half the mini kit builds are from the mini set line, and the other half are Droideka? Amongst the sea of starfighters and speeders, it's the only minifigure to make an appearance on this list, the Droideka. More specifically, the first Droideka design, released in 2 different sets in 2002.
I love that thing.
Jedi Defense 1 and the Republic gunship. Cool!
Wish I could find
17 builds left. These aren't real sets. The only thing they can be traced back to are the predating LEGO Star Wars games, LEGO Star Wars the video game, and LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. Since the levels in those 2 games just kind of got smashed together into one mega compilation to create the complete saga, so did the mini-kit builds. As far as I can tell, the rest of these models are all original builds from those games. Meaning, it's time to build. Kind of? I know building is an important part of any LEGO video, and I'm getting there, but I know I don't have these pieces in my collection. As the first video on my YouTube channel, I need to guarantee that these builds are perfect. How could I possibly gain your subscription if I can't even build these 36 mini-kit builds?
And you still won't.
Accurately. These builds have a lot of very specific parts that can't be replaced, and because I stay awake every night thinking about all the sets I destroyed as a kid to play with and rebuild and have fun, and then I'd sell them and they were so expensive, I don't really take my sets apart anymore. Which means more money to spend on LEGO I don't have. To figure out which parts I need, I'll be using Bricklink Studio to meticulously reconstruct all 17 mini-kit builds. Once I'm done, I can export a parts list from Studio and put it right into Bricklink and order from sellers all around the world. Which means it's time to talk about the history of LEGO colors. I don't mean to keep delaying the actual building in this video, but the complete saga came out in 2007, and LEGO's color palette was much different then. In order to accurately build these sets, I would say it's worth including in this video. To summarize the article from Brick Architect, Understanding the LEGO Color Palette, which I'll link down below and you should definitely check out for yourself. All LEGO bricks are molded using a combination of mixed pigments in specific proportions to ensure accurate colors are produced in their sets. To visually display LEGO's color palette, Brick Architect has ever so awesomely charted the plastic colors on a few different graphs, comparing hue, saturation, and luminance. Looking at this chart comparing the saturation and luminance in LEGO's color palette in 2016, it's pretty easy to find some patterns. The bright colors have almost 100% saturation and around 50% luminance. Light colors have a much higher luminance, around 90%. The dark colors have a lower luminance. Sand colors like sand green or blue have a lower saturation, and colors like white, gray, and black have the lowest saturation. Now the part that affects us. In 2005, the LEGO Group made a number of cost-cutting changes as part of their efforts to regain profitability. One of the changes was to retire many colors and tweak a few of the colors to make the color palette more consistent and to address feedback from customers. One of the discoveries was that old gray and dark gray colors were not well liked by parents and kids as they have the subtle yellowish tint that appears dirty. Rather than shift to a completely neutral gray, they chose a slightly bluish gray, and Belay was born. I've never heard the term Belay before, but any seasoned LEGO pro would be able to tell the difference between these two colors. They're substantially more blue, and you can see it on this chart. Both gray and dark gray were hued much differently, and I'd say the change was for the better. Around the same time, Earth Orange, or Old Brown, was replaced with Reddish Brown. Brittle Brown. Now it was time to make a decision. Do I build the remaining 17 Minikit builds with the newer, bluer gray? Or do I stick with the classic LEGO Old Brown and gray to match some of the Minikit sets?
Oh god.
For some reason, multiple color variations of gray were included in those sets. There was bound to be mismatching color variations across all 36 builds, but since the older colors would likely be more expensive, not have as many mold variations, and are just a bit uglier, I think it would be best to recreate all of the original Minikit builds using the new color wave.
Hell yeah.
Gray, dark bluish gray, and reddish brown. And so, the cobblestones on our pathway to enlightenment and accuracy have been set. It's time to build. Digitally. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the recording quality. I downloaded OBS and started recording, and I didn't look at the footage until like day 3, so hang in there. Anyways,
I don't blame you, man.
Let me show you around. We've got a large,
you know it's working, you wouldn't go out of your
LEGO genius
check
across. Over here is a ridiculous number of bricks sorted into categories and subcategories, and it's very, very easy to get lost. In this corner is where you pick your colors. Why not start with the first ship, the Republic Cruiser?
It's way more complicated than when I used it.
Completed in my most recent save file of the game. The basic strategy I came up with was to continuously take apart and rebuild the builds to figure out what's actually going on inside there. I realized I probably could have recorded video of this process and played it back and paused at different points, but where's the fun in that? I started by building from the bottom. No issues. Occasionally, I had to do some Googling to find specific pieces. Some of them are sorted into categories I would have never guessed. But if you find a set that includes that part, you can find the piece number and search for it in Studio. This is definitely one of the downsides to building digitally. But we carry on. I added a little extra greebling onto the top, then the engines to the rear, and this ship was complete. It's accurate, it's pretty cool, and all these pieces actually exist. Since it's much cheaper to order all these pieces off of BrickLink all at once to save on shipping, I decided to wait until I had digitally recreated all of the builds before ordering those pieces. There's a lot of work to do. Moving on to our next build, the Gungan Bongo. This build was much thicker, so it was a little tricky to figure out all the internals. There were only a few compromises, like the anchor thing on the front being a bit smaller than it should be, and the blue bars on the rear of the ship being a little short compared to the model in game. But a 3 stud length bar is the longest we're gonna get for that color. Now that is a good looking ship. Level 3, the Escape from Naboo mini kits reward us with a Royal Starship. A very chrome, very chrome ship. This might be a problem. I hate to ruin this video so soon, but those pieces don't exist in chrome. And I don't think this ship can be anything except chrome.
I mean, it is custom.
That is the defining feature of this ship. Anything besides a full chrome coating would simply be a disservice. Maybe I could chrome these pieces myself? Or maybe it's the one inaccurate ship. Begrudgingly, I opted to build this ship out of light bluish gray pieces. Worst case scenario, I guess I'll paint them myself. Despite my turmoil, this build was incredibly simple. Just some plates and slopes and tiles and wedges and Ship number 3 is complete. I'm not entirely happy with the Royal Starship. I want chrome, but this will have to do for now.
Alright.
Never settle for anything less than perfection, folks. I think I found a solution to our problem. Chrome Daddy. Ever heard of him?
What the hell
I have when I found
Daddy?
him last night. A LEGO Chrome artist. A LEGO customizer. Look at all this custom Chrome stuff. If anyone were to be our savior in this very moment, it would be Chrome Daddy. Let's shoot our shot. I didn't say that. I sent a much more polite and professional message, and he didn't write back yet, but he might, so I would consider that a problem temporarily solved. The next problem to solve is that, unfortunately, I lied to all of you. The 19 sets we checked off our list aren't exactly built how they are in game. Or at least some of them. While looking through the builds in-game after wrapping up recording yesterday, I realized that the Sith Infiltrator mini set wasn't perfect. There were some color swap pieces. In the name of accuracy,
the blue is missing.
Can't let this stand. And so I went through all of the Minikit builds, comparing the instructions to the builds in the game. Let me give you the rundown. Sebulba's Pod Racer, Jedi Starfighter, ATTE, Y-Wing, TIE Advanced, AT-AT, Snowspeeder, TIE Fighter, TIE Bomber, AT-ST, and TIE Interceptor are all perfect.
Damn.
Droideka is also perfectly accurate. But the rest of these ships simply befuddle me. The Sith Infiltrator, Star Destroyer, and Slave One all have a handful of recolored pieces. Not too big of an issue. The Imperial Shuttle has some textured bricks to replace, but the X-Wing and Millennium Falcon have some prints to remove. I hate to say it, but accuracy reigns supreme. I must remove those prints. The Slave One also has a print to remove, but that may be a blessing. Piecing that set out may be cheaper than buying it outright. We'll see. The final build, the Republic Gunship, is quite the oddity. Here's a picture of the Republic Gunship mini set from 2003. And here's a picture of the Republic Gunship mini kit build from the complete Saga.
It's missing
Before you ask the question, I collected all 10 of the mini kits from that level. I know I did. I went back and checked like 3 times. The cockpit is missing. Besides that, a few parts to color swap and some pieces to shuffle around on top, but the cockpit is gone. When you see the real set side by side with the model in-game, it really looks incomplete. That being said, you already know I'm ripping that thing off in the name of accuracy. Here's a whole pile of pieces to fix these ships.
Did someone forget to place it?
Chrome Daddy! I won't share the exact text here, but he said he's happy to help. I let him know that I didn't have the pieces yet, but would be ordering them soon. But maybe I do have the pieces? I don't. I have like half of them. Shopping! After sorting through my little pitiful pile of pieces, I figured it was time to do some retail therapy. There's a lot of expensive Lego on eBay, but every once in a while you find a diamond in the rough. Like this lot of sets. This is the complete first wave of mini sets, used for $39.42. Ordered. Great success! Besides that, I didn't really find any other good deals on eBay. For now. I did also find something on eBay that was a bit haunting, so to say. The TIE Striker and Slave One are super expensive. Not like Lego Collector insanely expensive, but these prices are far and above what I'd be willing to pay for 30 little pieces of molded plastic. And I've paid a lot for molded plastic.
Oh my god. I mean, don't underestimate him, I guess.
Spend more money. I spent some time on eBay looking for multiple sets for cheap, but found nothing. Foolishly, I decided to check Bricklink afterwards. The reason I say foolishly is because I should have just been looking at Bricklink in the first place. These prices are way better, and there are way more sets available too. I'm not disappointed with my eBay find yesterday. I didn't really overpay for those sets, but I'm sure you guys were yelling at your screens to check Bricklink in the first place. So, I apologize. US vendors, good deals. Like this TIE Interceptor for $8. As it turns out, eBay is just a scam sometimes. This set isn't even that expensive. After
really
a
now
stint of scrolling and oogling through Lego listings, I ended up placing 3 separate orders to complete my mini set collection. The only set I didn't order was Boba Slave One and the Droideka. I didn't find any incredible deals on Boba's ship, and since I don't need the printed slope piece, I can probably save some money by piecing it together. The combination model parts may or may not be included with some of these orders, but that's a problem for future Jackson to solve. Tomorrow, we build. Build we shall, for our package from eBay hath arrived. After some brief pondering at the table, I decided to build the Jedi Starfighter and Jango Slave One, even though Jango's ship isn't a mini-kit build. I was just excited to build them. Here is Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter,
I guess.
as a mini-kit build from Discovery on Kamino. With only 19 pieces, it ended up being a very quick build. It's got 2 printed tiles on top, which add a lot of detail to this tiny ship, which are also included in the game. There's not too much else to say about it. I like it. To pair, here's Jango Slave One, which I like maybe even a little more. Even though it's similarly small, it's actually got an action feature. The wings are sitting on one stud and can be rotated into a flight position. The printed slope on the back is a cool detail as well. Even though it's not a mini-kit from the complete Saga game, I almost imagine this ship as a piece of cut content. Unfortunately, it doesn't really fit into any other level of the game besides Discovery on Kamino, but it probably did come down to including one of those 2 ships for the mini-kit build in that level. This set also included a piece of the TIE Bomber combination model with a cool print on that sand blue astromech body. Nice. Let me introduce you to the podium. The Jedi Starfighter is going here as the first completed, accurate mini-kit build from the game. 1 of 36, officially complete. Next, I moved on to the ATST and Snowspeeder set. Both builds from this set are included as mini-kit builds in the game. The Snowspeeder and the Escape from Echo Base level, and the ATST in the Battle of Endor. The overall shape of the ATST looks great. It's definitely a bit fragile, and the head rotates very freely on top, but it's not all bad. The printed piece on the front looks great, and does a lot to make this mini build look as recognizable as it is. And it scales perfectly with the Snowspeeder. This build is great as well. The way the wings are attached at an angle, using the gun turrets to connect to the main build, works super well. This one also has a printed tile, which probably wasn't necessary, but I think it's a cool tiny version of a Snowspeeder. The second TIE Bomber section was also included in the set, with the same sand blue printed astromech body and an axle to connect the two together. Anakin and Sebulba's pod racers. Just like the Jedi Starfighter and Slave 1 set, I'm sure game designers had to choose which of these two builds to include in the most Espa pod race level, and Sebulba's pod racer was chosen. They're pretty simple builds.
Yeah,
they look like pod racers.
The
transparent stand isn't on the model in game, but I don't mind them. They work well. I think the antennas on Anakin's pod racer are supposed to be the cables connecting the pod to the engines, and if that's the case, I probably should have just skipped that detail. Two more good looking builds though. We also got another wing for the TIE Bomber. The last set in this package, the X-Wing Fighter and TIE Advanced, featured in the Dagobah and Rebel attack levels respectively. As I had previously mentioned with the X-Wing, I'm a little disappointed these printed tiles didn't make it into the game.
Yeah,
they
that's
add a lot of
super
detail.
weird.
Also, maybe it's just because these pieces are 20 years old, but the hinges on the wings don't work super well on this build. Nevertheless, it's a good, small Lego X-Wing. The TIE Advanced is the first of many upcoming TIE fighters, starting that group out strong. It's smartly built with Technic and bar pieces, and the shaping looks great. I really don't mind the sand blue color for these TIE Fighter builds. The other wing for the TIE Bomber was included in this set, meaning the mini-kit build from Speeder Showdown is complete. This one has similar wings to the TIE Advanced, but it's built quite differently. The Technic axle going all the way through connects the sections, and some 2x2 train coupling magnet pieces, I think. You keep the astromech bodies from rotating. The ATST, Snowspeeder, TIE Advanced, TIE Bomber, and Sebulba's pod racer are all complete. For now, I'm holding off on modifying the X-Wing for later, so I can record rebuilding them all at once. And so, our podium stands at 6. I must have been in a frenzied haze or something, because the day didn't stop there. I'm chronically addicted to the build. I hopped back on Studio and got back to work, rebuilding 5 more mini-kit builds. The Naboo Starfighter came together great. This is one of my favorite ships in the Star Wars universe, and I think this build represents that ship very well.
Why does everyone like that so much?
Zam's airspeeder was also a breeze. Even though it's quite flat, the colors make this ship pretty fun looking. I had to add an extra green 1x3 plate to the underside, otherwise a 1x2 plate couldn't be supported on top behind the cockpit. Other than that, it's oh so accurate. The Solar Sailor taught me how closely I need to be looking at the prices of some of these pieces. Like these trans brown dishes for $5.97. Unfortunately, I had to color swap a bunch of pieces for this model. Notably, those hinges, the helicopter blades, and all of the transparent pieces, made clear because that dish was the biggest transparent one I could find. I don't really mind. This ship kinda sucks anyways. The dropship has a similar large dish problem as the last. This dish on top is supposed to be 10x10 and ideally dark blue in my opinion. The closest thing I could find, regardless of price, was this 8x8 turquoise dish.
What about the purple?
I know this ship isn't turquoise, but I think that dish was the best option. At the very least, it could be a very unique build. It's alright. I don't like the color, but it really was the best option. Last up, I rebuilt a much easier one, the emergency ship. I have no idea why this build was included in the game. There it is in the movie. It was quite easy to rebuild though. To me, that middle section almost looks like a detachable cargo hull, so I built that as a separate part that can detach once it's built. Even if this is the dumbest and most unrecognizable ship of the bunch, at least it can be rebuilt accurately. You gotta give it that. Day 5 started off strong with the arrival of the first Bricklink package. Since I'm an Episode 1 fan, I decided to start by building the MTT, which is the third and final mini-set to not be included as a Minikit build, alongside Anakin's pod racer and Jango's ship. The MTT is surprisingly big, and is pretty much the only set with any hope of an interior. I feel like at this scale, it almost could have included some sort of moving features besides the door in the back. It still looks good though. This set certainly could have been included as a Minikit build in negotiations for the invasion of Naboo. Also included was the first part of the Y-Wing combination model. Next, I built the Imperial Shuttle from Jedi Destiny, the Minikit build from the final fight against Palpatine. Like the MTT, this almost feels like a microfighter scale ship, without a seat. Besides its weak 20-year-old hinges, I give this set an A+. Here's the smallest ship to ever release, the TIE Fighter from Falcon Flight. This set has an incredible 12 pieces, but it doesn't really need any more than that. It certainly looks like a TIE Fighter.
Super cute.
If anything, 2 more 2x2 plates would have been nice to flatten out the wings, but that's just my personal preference. No prints in this set, unlike the next build, the TIE Interceptor. This one is objectively the best mini TIE Fighter set of the 4. As I was alluding to, the 1x1 print on top of the cockpit looks great, and that bar and clip technique used for the snow speeder is working even better here to attach the 4 wings. It's just so satisfying.
It does look good.
Here's the penultimate build of the day, the Star Destroyer from Secret Plans. This build is quite big as well. Most of this is built out of a bunch of different plates and wedges stacked up, but the angled wedges in the back make this build look a lot less flat. It might be a bit chunky as well, it just seems a little wide to me. Last but not least, my AT-AT with extra Top Gun port. There's no way to avoid it. This set looks pretty not awesome. I'm not gonna hate on it too much. I don't think I could do that much better.
It's from 2003-4.
It's also from the worst level in the game, Hoth Battle.
Aww.
Just putting it out there. Time to fill up the original trilogy podium a bit more. From this Bricklink order, the TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor, and AT-AT all remain unmodified to their versions in-game. I continued the day by recreating more sets in the studio. I set out to finish rebuilding the final 4 prequel sets today, and that's just what I was able to accomplish. Our second Jedi Starfighter came together quite quickly. Unlike Kenobi's Episode 2 Starfighter, Anakin's ship is absolutely at a much bigger scale. The wings were a bit difficult to reconstruct, and the build could be a little flimsy in those areas, but it's another perfectly accurate build for the checklist. At first glance, this Wookiee cat shouldn't be a problem at all. It's got relatively few pieces and looks fairly realistic. Right? Wrong. It's all because of these inverted 2x6 slope pieces that don't exist in reddish brown. That being said, those same pieces not in their inverted form do actually exist, but I can't build the entire ship upside down. The details on top just wouldn't work. After some tinkering, I think this is the best solution I could come up with, even though it's got some illegal techniques. I made a little assembly to illustrate my madness. To flip the slopes, I added a cheese slope to the inside corner and connected it to a single layer of plates. The piece is only deep enough to put one cheese slope inside of it, so it's not super stable. With a brick pushing up against the side once it's built, it should align those pieces pretty well. The only downside of this method is adding an extra plate worth of thickness to the middle of the watercraft, but I think it looks great even with those major slope pieces not existing. If this thing can even stay together for a single picture, that would make me happy enough. The final 2 prequel builds went swimmingly. I decided to build the Arc Fighter with dark red bricks. It just felt fitting for this build. Even though the V-Wing used the same color red in the game, those hinge pieces on the back were way too expensive in dark red, and so I switched it to red. The V-Wing isn't really that hype anyway, so I don't mind. Build-wise, these were both quite easy
got some distinction
and accurate,
makes more sense.
Which means the 12 prequel builds are complete. Only 5 more builds to reconstruct from the original trilogy. Episode 4 has 2 of those builds, the Sandcrawler and fan favorite Luke's Land Speeder. My goal for today was to build both of these. I didn't have a lot of time that day, I guess. I started off with the Sandcrawler, which I've actually been kind of scared of for a while. It's just a big, beefy daddy of a build to recreate accurately, and the reddish-brown fiasco of the Wookiee cat was a bit haunting. As anticipated, those brown hinges used all over the build don't actually exist. I don't mind too much. If they did exist, they would probably be super expensive anyways. So clips it is. Overall, I think I was still able to match the shape of it quite well. Most of the brick build center was quite simple, and my hope is that it'll be structurally sound in real life. Even though the land speeder is smaller, it's got its own set of problems. Probably stating the obvious here, but sand red is the problem. Only one of the 3 sand red pieces actually exists, that being the bar handle piece in the back. I wish the colors could be accurate for the sake of this video, but I think the sand red speeder is ugly as anyways, and so was the sand red speeder from 2004. I mean,
it gives it more
build-wise, perfectly accurate.
But I agree.
Color-wise, not so much.
Does look ass.
Before I could finish digitally rebuilding those last 3 ships, some real Lego showed up. First up, Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator, which is earned after collecting all 10 mini-kits in the Darth Maul level. Checks out. The 4 wings and landing gear are adjustable on this build, and the printed dome and opening hatch look good, but I'm just not a huge fan of this one. Maybe it's the blue and sand blue mixed in there? I don't know.
Again,
I can't really
for
review these too hard. They're 20-year-old miniature versions of Star Wars ships. The piece palette was considerably less prolific, so I don't know. It looks okay. Now the ATTE. This one is good. This is the new gold standard if you ask me. The 2 sets of mirrored prints look great, and every detail you could want is present and works well here. I like the small guns, I like the big gun, I like the front, I like the legs. Aside from being the mini kit build featured in that terrible gunship level, it's an S tier for sure. Here's another cool Republic vehicle, the Republic gunship from Jedi Battle. It's certainly recognizable, but I don't know if the gunship kills it compared to the last build. The wiggly and easily rotatable wings are a bit annoying when handling the thing, but otherwise it's a pretty static model. Once again, it really feels like a microfighter. A lot of these builds are bigger than they ever would be in a modern polybag. And the last of our Bricklink order from the day, the Millennium Falcon, rewarded with the Rescue the Princess mission. The large dishes on the top and bottom of this build certainly give it some dimensionality, but it can't help it too much from not looking like the big flat plate that it is. It could have used some more thickness, especially near the front, or maybe it should have just been a smaller build to scale for that. Regardless, it looks like the Falcon. Maybe I spoiled myself a little bit by building the ATTE in the middle of this video. That one just set the bar. Of course, our king, the ATTE, doesn't need any modifications because it's already perfect. On the podium he goes. The rest will have to be slightly modified later once I order the remaining pieces. The Cloud Car, Desert Skiff, and Sail Barge are the last 3 builds to reconstruct. Unbelievably, it went just fine. You're going to have to believe me, because I may or may not have forgotten to record them. Let me give you a tour. This precious darling of a Cloud City car is perfectly, supremely accurate, and was super easy to rebuild. What you see is pretty much what you get. I love him. Here's the Desert Skiff.
He's goofy.
This one is so weak. It can have the accuracy stamp of approval, but nothing else. This big, bloated turd of a barge was a bit daunting at first, but it was actually pretty easy to build. I had to add a few extra pieces on the back, so a number of pieces weren't floating, but I don't think any of my modifications distract from the design. The design isn't too bad at all. I like it. I also rebuilt 2 other sections from the Y-Wing that weren't included with my sets on Bricklink, so I could order those pieces. That is now all the original builds reconstructed. Getting to this point felt like a huge relief. Just to know that this project was likely possible and there weren't any major pieces missing for any of the builds was delightful. Unfortunately, rebuilding these sets isn't nearly complete, and so I'm not willing to take out a high-interest loan in this economy to buy all 1,009 of these incredibly niche and unique parts. It's time to sort through my Lego collection. I forgot to build Boba Slave 1. As a simple recolor, it was super easy to build. I already had the instructions from Jango's ship. Look at all those builds. Isn't that something? As I said like a half hour ago, the whole reason I was building these digitally was to easily order the pieces I needed. To do this, it's possible to export a wanted list from Studio and upload it right into Bricklink. All of the pieces are displayed on this list, with a convenient percentage owned at the top to track our progress. So that's just what I did. With our shopping list in place, it's time to scrape through those bins and figure out which pieces I actually need to order. I may say today is day 9 and yesterday was day 8, but it is not day 9. It's been like a week. That being said, I finally finished sorting those pieces. Turns out I've got 58% of the parts I need. It's certainly not nothing, but a lot of pieces I'm missing are incredibly specific or just super rare parts. I had Bricklink auto-select in shops to find the remaining parts, but like I said, some of these pieces are absurdly expensive. Mind you, these prices are for single pieces. No ordinary piece should be that valuable. Accuracy can really only go so far for these builds, and I have to find a little bit of a middle ground. No ship's supple underbelly is worth that many clams. I decided it might be a bit easier to order the cheap pieces first. After completing 7 purchases from different shops, I've now procured 94% of the bricks. Even though I only needed 52 more pieces, Bricklink found everything else I needed for the low price of $158.72 from 2 different shops. Thanks, Bricklink! Not gonna happen. I found 3 more shops that could help complete my checklist at a reasonable price, but after those orders, the list is still only 98% complete. 18 lowly pieces stand between this project and perfection. Unfortunately, that goal is just a bit too unreasonable. This unimpressive stack of pieces is worth about $120. Somehow. At this point, I've got to make some reasonable substitutions. This inverted wedge was switched out for an inverted slope. These slopes had to be replaced with different pieces. The yellow wedges were replaced by a 2x4. This wedge was split in half. The reddish-brown clips, panels, and hinges were all replaced with different colors. And somehow, 1/2 of the Wookiee Cat wedges don't exist anymore? What? I swear I figured this out. I guess I'll build the half I do have then. Shucks. I placed 1 more order and the buying process was complete. 11 separate Bricklink orders are on the way. As soon as those arrive, it's going to be day 10 of this project, and there's going to be a ton to build.
Crazy how most of the pieces just don't exist.
All of the pieces have arrived from all 11 Bricklink orders, and this really is going to fill up the podium like you've all been waiting for. I know I'm excited! I decided to get the easier work out of the way first and modify some of the mini sets I've already built to get them looking all nice and accurate to their in-game counterparts. The Sith Infiltrator mini kit replaced a few of the more visible sand blue pieces on the ship, but I still don't like it that much more. Luckily, those prints get to stay. The Republic gunship had some pieces shuffle around up top, 2 textured bricks removed, a few color-swapped parts, and most notably, the cockpit removed, of course. This thing really does just look bald. I don't have a better word for it. It's quite the oversight, and it's also missing in the original LEGO Star Wars game as well. Has nobody noticed this until now? I even looked up a YouTube video scrolling through all the ships to make sure my game wasn't busted. So, there's a little bit of trivia for you, I suppose. This isn't a rebuild, but I was shaking in my boots to put this droideka together, from the droid factory level. The new droideka minifigure is not too dissimilar from this crude sketch of a sunset I drew on a crusty used napkin. While this old droideka could easily be mistaken for a breathtaking painting of the American West by 19th century German-American artist Albert Bierstadt. To put my review simply, this guy's sitting in S tier right next to the ATTE. The Star Destroyer had 5 parts to switch the colors for, just between light bluish gray and bluish gray. It's accurate. The round printed tiles on the Millennium Falcon were replaced by old gray tiles to match the color of the build. It definitely takes away some cool points. Accurate. The X-Wing went full bald too. This build is worse without the prints, undoubtedly. It's accurate though. Last up, I removed those 2 textured bricks from the Imperial shuttle. Don't even complain that this is unnecessary. You can see that texture on other builds. It's not on this ship. Plus, don't forget, I'm doing all this accuracy nonsense for you. Here's the pile of replaced victims from our purge. The most soul-crushing of which being those printed X-Wing and Falcon pieces, and that gunship cockpit. For on this day, may accuracy reign supreme. That's 7, count 'em, 7 more ships for the podium. But we're not done yet. It's time for the part of this very long video that you've all been waiting for. These custom builds are coming to life. Since I didn't create any instructions for these builds and just mocked them up online, I had to do a little bit of digital disassembly to refigure out how these builds went together. That being said, it was still the most fun and rewarding part of this entire process. Prepare to feast your eyes on some builds. I started off with the Y-Wing since it was already halfway done, but somehow it's still missing 3 pieces. Back in the bin he goes. I'm happy to say the Republic cruiser from the first level of the game, Negotiations, is alive and thriving. Maybe it's just nostalgia speaking, since I probably played that first level more than any other stage, but this ship is magnificent. The unique shaping and coloring really makes it stand out, even compared to the real mini-sets. The sideways mounted engine section in the back might be a little weak, but as a display piece, I'm a big fan. Dare I say, the 3rd S tier? Also, did I happen to mention its exquisite accuracy? Even though the Naboo starfighter from Retake Theed Palace had a few slope pieces switched out in the back, I still don't mind how it turned out. The scale of this ship is quite satisfying, and I love the 3 antennas. They certainly sell the Naboo starfighter look. The little R2 is also a fun touch, and I really like the pop of color those light blue engine pieces add. It's not quite accurate, but a damn good looking ship. From the Mos Eisley spaceport level is our little land speeder keychain build. Obviously not sand red, but oh well. At this scale, it's a perfectly passable land speeder, but I can't help but feel it's a little long and a bit thick. It's got all the details they could cram into this tiny build, and the general shaping is close enough. I'll give it a pass for now.
I mean, you didn't make the Naboo Starfighter
Get excited,
accurate,
LEGO fans. From Jabba's palace, it's the desert skiff. Don't get too excited.
As close as possible, I suppose.
It looks like this. The desert skiff from episode 6 does have a recognizable shape, but this is not it. I had to switch those two panels from brown to black, but I don't think the build would be much better if I was able to get my hands on those pieces. It's
it would have been better.
Not an awesome representation of that ship in universe. None of these Minikit builds scale together even remotely, so they really could have made this ship any size. I think it would have helped to make it a bit bigger. It just needs a little more love. The Solar Sailor from the Count Dooku level in game is certainly unique. Maybe they should have just picked a different ship to put in this game, because this is not it either. Even the 2008 Solar Sailor was just a little bit goofy to me. Even if the colors in this build were perfectly accurate, I don't think it would look much better. Once again, it's a miniaturized 20-year-old LEGO Star Wars ship. It's fine. I almost finished building Zam's airspeeder, but one of the wedge plates is the wrong one. That's one more piece to order on Bricklink. And now for probably the most controversial build of the video, the turquoise dropship from one of the best levels in the game, Battle Over Coruscant. This is, without a doubt, the wrong color, but I kind of dig it. There were some other blue colored dishes that were 6 wide, but I really think this 8 wide dish is the smallest one that should even be considered.
I think
barely
the dark
covering
blue
all the parts it needs to cover as it is. For the ship to be as unnotable as it is in my mind, I think it kind of stands out among the rest. Collecting all 10 mini kits in the Invasion of Naboo level gives Wisa Unabongo. Jar Jar still may be a goofy goober, but this custom mini kit build kills it. They picked a great scale for this ship. Every main detail you could want is present here. The 3 bubble windows were mounted at unique angles, and those bars coming off the back of the ship work well enough. It's not perfectly accurate, so I can't put it in S tier, but just know it's close. The Great Pit of Carcoon mini-kit build is fittingly Jabba's sail barge. If those sails on top were red or dark orange or something, this build might not look so turd-like. Of all the custom builds so far, I think this one held up the worst in the past 20 years compared to many of the other builds. It's got most of the shaping it needs, but the build is pretty simple, and so are the colors. I'm not even a Jabba hater. I've even got this signed Max Rebo photo to prove it. It's better than the Solar Sailor though, gotta give it that. I'm not ashamed to say it. I think cloud cars are badass. In the Cloud City Trap level, you were rewarded with this little cloud car. Finally, another perfectly accurate cherub of a ship. Maybe with that new darker orange color released in the LEGO City Space line, they should revisit the cloud car. I would very much like to purchase that, LEGO. As you can probably guess, the way these 3 parts are connected to each other is not very stable. It's also a bit blocky, given how sleek the real ship is. I can't complain about a perfectly accurate king, though. Oddly enough, collecting all 10 mini-kits in the General Grievous level rewards you with Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. The wings actually can be angled on this ship, and it looks considerably better. With the wings in their in-game position, it looks expectedly flat. Those wings are also a bit flimsy, but I think it's a good-looking ship. I also find it interesting they switched up the design for R2 compared to the Naboo Starfighter, with 1 stud instead of 2. Next! Emergency ship.
I don't think it's a representation for R2.
It does detach. But not very well. It's accurate? Here's a very unchromed Royal Starship. This build is super simple, just a bunch of plates and sloped bricks. Once Chrome Daddy gets his grubby little hands on this thing, it's gonna be looking real nice. I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is my building method for the Wookiee cat worked quite well. The bad news is I'm still missing those sloped pieces. Those faux inverted slopes are much more stable than I expected, and I think the ship looks quite nice. I was super disappointed to leave this ship incomplete. Maybe Bricklink will grant us some miracle? Moving on to one I knew I could complete, here's the Arc Fighter from Ruin of the Jedi. I think this one's pretty cool. It's quite well designed. There's some smart building techniques to connect all 6 wings to the proper spots. It very much looks and feels like a modern polybag design. Dare I sneak this ship into S tier as well? By collecting the mini kits in the Darth Vader level, you earn a V-Wing. I'm not super familiar with the V-Wing, but this build isn't that cool off first rip. Looking at pictures of the actual ship, I probably should have manned up and built it with dark red bricks, but it still would be a very chunky V-Wing regardless. Very much of its time, so to say. Boba Slave 1, even the trail over Bespin, is not as cool as Jango's in my opinion. Same exact build, same action feature, but I really like those bright colors. I give it 4 out of 5 Wojaks. The Sandcrawler was going fantastic, but I don't have 4 of the wheels. That just means more items for the shopping list. In this moment of defeat, by some incredible miracle, I found the other 2 slopes for the Wookiee cat in the bin. It doesn't make any sense. I know I didn't order these, but this ship looks great now. Even though those inverted slopes don't exist, I'm happy with this one. It's accurate enough for me. There's 4 more builds left, and then my mission is complete. What a day. I ordered those last few pieces from Bricklink, luckily all from one seller. I also packed up that bland Royal Starship for Chrome Daddy. The video's almost over, you can do it! I spy, with my little eye, a turquoise package from Bricklink with the final pieces we need. The Y-Wing combination model has finally been combined. It's pretty much as unstable as it looks. Those engine parts fall off all the time. Its size feels appropriate for the amount of detail you actually need to recreate this ship, especially those fragile engines in the back. I give that 2 thumbs up. Putting the single final piece on Zam's airspeeder, it is now complete. I think I'm just a sucker for the unique, brightly colored Star Wars ships. I like this one as a little Lego ship. Besides the colors, this thing kinda doesn't look like the ship from the movie at all. I still think it's fun. The Sandcrawler also earned its 4 missing wheels. I'm very happy with this one as well. Mostly the front of the build. I'm very proud. Wrapping up this video is the finale of all finales. The custom mini kit to beat them all. Handcrafted by the god of Chrome himself, the Royal Starship.
Damn.
This video wouldn't be complete without this ship being fully
Look at
chrome.
that thing.
I can't believe it was actually done. Chrome Daddy, thank you.
Beautiful.
The top is chrome. The bottom is chrome. The sides are chrome. S tier is too low for this ship. I'm getting rid of the whole grading system. Placing that shiny beacon on the podium. That is now 36 out of 36 mini kit builds from LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, recreated in real life as accurately as possible for your entertainment.
Beautiful.
To be fully transparent, this video did not take 11 days to make. I started researching these builds on January 1st of this year, and hopefully it will be uploaded sometime in June. I did not think I would be writing a 9,600 word essay on some mini kit builds from a LEGO Star Wars game, but I really hope you enjoyed following along on this journey. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. It means a lot that anyone would be willing to sit this long and listen to me blabber about outer space video games and interlocking plastic bricks. I love you all. I'd love to continue making videos like this for you all to enjoy, and I only want them to continue to improve. I don't know if they'll all be this long though. Holy f***, this took a long time. If you want to check out my other non-LEGO content, by day I work as the video producer at Hypixel, making trailers and other promotional shorts. I highly recommend the Hypixel Game Show. By night, I edit for Ambiguous Amphibian. If you're a fan of strategy games or other mischief and shenanigans, I think you'll get a kick out of his videos. He was also an incredible help during this video. So, thanks Frogman. Also another shout out to Chrome Daddy. He's the real hero. Thanks for watching.
Chrome Daddy. I can't believe someone nicknamed themselves Chrome Daddy. Crazy.